But right now, the Lions are still on the climb for the ultimate success. They still have not won a Super Bowl. And that's kind of how I've always focused and analyzed the team. How close are they to winning a Super Bowl? And I think the injuries definitely, this year put an outlier out there in regards to why didn't the team win? Did they have enough talent? It would have been interesting to see because many can reasonably argue if Aiden Hutchinson doesn't get hurt, you lose a defensive player of the year candidate. If Amik Robertson continues to emerge, he stays healthy. If Carlton Davis is out there, you could be, making a strong case that the Lions and Eagles would have had one heck of an NFC championship game, and the Lions would have given potentially the Chiefs all that they could handle. But when you sit back and you survey the landscape now with the mindset of, all right, how this football team needs to improve, in my opinion, the offseason priorities needs to be the trenches. Clearly. And I'll ask you directly which side of the ball needs more. Because you can make the argument the offensive line is getting a little bit older. They were inconsistent. They had their strengths. Both Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery had solid seasons. But at the same token, the pass blocking got iffy at times, especially in the big games against the Bills and the Commanders. You recognize, hey, there's some improvements that could be made to an aging offensive line. Many people are looking at the play of Graham Glasgow, Taylor Decker. We'll look at that later on. Lions on SI in future articles when we review the season as to kind of the future of some of these guys as well when we look at contract and salary cap. But you look at the offensive line, and clearly that's the engine of the offense, making sure that Jared Goff's okay and that running back group continues to thrive. But to me, the most important side of the football that you got to retool and probably upgrade clearly is the defensive line. I think that Josh Pascal, Levi Onwuzurike, Zadarius Smith are good football players. But along with DJ Reader, I just feel like you can upgrade with younger talent and free agency as well. So I understand that there is a good group of Senior Bowl players that's out there. You saw the draft. Now, as we start to put that together, we'll explore which area should be addressed in the draft and which area should be addressed in free agency. But right now, Christian, what which defensive line or offensive line, what should be the Detroit Lions offseason priority, in your opinion?
Yeah, no, it's tough to evaluate that because both sides of the ball have like foundational pieces. So whether it's the offensive line with Ragnow, Decker, and Sewell kind of as the bookends of that offensive line, or Aiden Hutchinson and Aleem McNeil on the defensive line. So I think in terms of anything drastic, I think both lines are in a good spot, but I think that you could really use some supplementary pieces on both sides, and in particular on defense. I think offensively, when you look at Graham Glasgow took a little bit of a step back this year. Maybe he just signed a 3-year contract extension, so I wouldn't expect the Lions to move on from Graham Glasgow. But plus, you've got Christian Mahogany. Like, if Kevin Zeitler ultimately does not return in 2025, there seems to be some confidence in Christian Mahogany or Coyote Awasika to be able to step up and fill that void. So there's some depth there. On the defensive line, however, you start talking about Zadarius Smith and maybe the implications of cutting ties with him a year early just based on salary cap and things of that nature. And then Levi Onwuzurike is a free agent. So in my opinion, I think that they need to look around for whether it's a nose tackle that can step in. I think we talked about it last week, but Broderick Martin, we're still waiting to see the returns on Broderick Martin as potentially the nose tackle of the future. Probably wouldn't hurt to stock up there a little bit. Or do you go for a little bit of a 3 technique option who could be a rotational guy? I know they have Makai Wingo and they may choose to bring back Onwuzurike, but at the same time, you got to start thinking these young guys, right? Well, Lee McNeil is a long-term player. They locked him up to an extension. Aiden Hutchinson, long-term player, locked up to an extension. So now you need to find these rotational depth type players. And I still wouldn't hate to see him take a swing on an edge rusher, man. Like, that to me is the area of biggest need. I know they've got a few different things where they could use a depth piece or a supplementary piece, but I think, man, they should be looking to take a swing on an edge rusher, maybe in the first round if they hold on to that pick.